and that will resume starting in January. We won't have services tomorrow. There is, of course, always information at the front and an iPad or a contact sheet you can fill out if you'd like to be more connected.
And I've been told that there's sometimes some confusion about the candle lighting portion of this service, so I want to give you absolute clarity to begin. The lit candle remains standing straight and tall. The unlit candle comes to meet it like so. That way no wax drips on the hands or clothes or our beloved orange carpet. After the service, please place the candles in the sand buckets that are just outside the doors. And as we gather, we just want to remind ourselves that the mission of this community is to help one another to live lives of greater depth, meaning, and purpose. And it is on this darkest time of year, and a year that has been particularly dark for many people, and a time in our world that is particularly dark for many of us, that we gather together to celebrate light, to honor through candles, through singing, through silence, through story. What a gift it is, what a blessing to gather together in community. So wherever you're coming from tonight, whoever you are, whoever you love, know you are welcome, all of you, here tonight.
We kindle this flame.
This is the Christmas story from Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 20. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration, and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace, goodwill among people." When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child laying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherd returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them.
Never Again by Harry Webb. You never saw such a stupid mess. The government, of course, was to blame. The poor young kid in her shabby dress, and the old chap with her. Oh, it seemed like such a shame. She had a baby in the backyard shed. It wasn't very nice. but it was the best we could do. Just fancy a manger for a bed. I ask you, what's the world coming to? We're sorry that they had to have it so rough. But we had our troubles, remember? As if all the crowds were not enough, the weather was upside down for December. There was singing everywhere, lights in the sky, and those drunken shepherds neglecting their sheep, and 3 weird foreigners in full cry. I mean, you just couldn't get a night's sleep. Well, now they've gone and we can all settle down. There's room in the inn, and the streets are so still. And we're back to normal in our little town that nobody's heard of or ever will. And though the world is full of people like those, I think of them sometimes, especially her. And one can't help wondering, though I don't suppose anyone will ever know who they were.
I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I dressed up as Santa Claus for the first time this year. I'm still a little young for it, I think. I'm going to try not to do it for a while more. But bringing him, as our daycare asked, for our son's friends, I did. But it wasn't the first time that I've played Santa. Not the first time that I've been the one bringing gifts, been the one rosy-cheeked with good cheer. In fact, even when I was a kid, I can remember those moments when I was the one bringing Santa. And too, even as an adult, I know those moments when I'm the child in me. When I'm just waiting, expectant, hopeful for something special, for someone else's bright red suit and fluffy white beard to bring me hope and cheer. And I've been the elf, too. Working hard, making sure that the presents are all finished, making sure everything is all ready, wrapped and in the bag. And I've been the reindeer, too, delivering it all on time. Aren't we all, each of these characters, one moment or another? Each of us plays all of these roles. That's how the Christmas magic works.
Mythologists, scholars such as Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell encourage us to learn from ancient stories and myths by seeing ourselves as each of the characters having a different facet of ourselves. Their idea is that we are every one of the people in a certain story. And there are few stories that have been retold as often as that of the birth in a manger in Bethlehem. It's kind of a weird story to survive 2 millennia. I mean, there's not much plot, right? There's no real action. It's just sort of this cast of characters, each one arriving at the birth of a baby. And yet, what has made it stick and last? Maybe it is each of those characters. Do you see yourself in any of these people? Last Christmas, a month after the birth of our son, I felt like I related to Mary in a way that I had never before. And we can each hear the story as a myth, finding ourselves reflected in each of the characters, and how the Christmas story teaches us something about what it means to be human.
So, Mary, 9 months pregnant and traveling on a donkey. Have you been Mary? Have you ever been the vessel for something greater than yourself? Each of us has moments when we are full with the power of creation. When we're giving birth to things that change the world, like an author writing, or a coder developing, or a construction worker setting the next layer of brick. We're always changing the world with our creating. We do it in imperfect ways, ways that don't always feel good enough. Often we're in the wrong place with not enough time. And like Mary, we all have to play the hand we're dealt. And luckily, we all have access to that tough Mary spirit. That incredible human capacity for resiliency that allows us to persevere even when it means giving birth in the barn.
Joseph. Dude has fallen on hard times. I mean, he's struggling to get it right. And what does his girlfriend go and do but get pregnant? And yet there he is trying to make the best of a pretty tough situation. He doesn't know what's right in this situation. He's not following societal norms. He's going to get slapped for sticking with this woman. But there he is, trotting to Egypt, her in tow, not certain how they're going to stay the night on the journey. It's kind of like they're flying standby to Egypt. There's no guaranteed seat. They're stuck at the midnight hour, sleeping in the terminal, just hoping it's all going to work out, leaning way out into trust. Have you been Joseph? Have you had a moment when you were thrust into big adult responsibility, not sure how to do it right, but just taking the next step, doing the next best thing, given these hard times?
And as the story starts, it's not just Joseph and Mary, of course. Have you ever felt like a donkey? Carrying the burden, doing the work, essential but voiceless. You know, that part of ourselves that keeps on going, that moves forward even when the destination isn't clear. This ability to focus on just the next step. A donkey doesn't concern himself with where they are going or whether there will be a bed to sleep in. He doesn't care about the census or King Herod. He isn't impressed with wise men or even angels. You know that the donkey, that way of being, that gift for the present, current moment, just doing the task at hand without worrying about the bigger picture.
And the innkeeper, I mean, she's completely booked. You can't work into her schedule, even if you've got something special going on. She's juggling family life and professional life, and the grocery shopping happens in between all of that. So when this young couple comes knocking, you know, she offers what compassion she can, but the guilt, it lingers. It's probably not enough. Have you been the innkeeper? Has keeping up with daily life just felt like each moment took everything you had? So many responsibilities and commitments. How do we stretch to give, to be open, to remain compassionate when our inbox is full?
And if you've never thought of yourself as an angel, I invite you to right now. Have you ever sounded the trumpet? Shouted with joy, bellowed your good news as loud as you could, sang louder and prouder, ever wanted to send a text to everyone that you knew to share your good news? Or maybe make a Facebook post in all capital letters just so everyone would know how important it was. Angels, what message have you come to proclaim? The birth of children, yes. There are many accomplishments, yes. And your own great victories of the new job, of the promotion, of the finished quilt, the album produced, the good news that the tumor was benign, that the debt has been canceled, or the sweet puppy is yours to take home, and also that deeper message, your heart's message, the message of your life that you share daily with the world, mostly without any words, without much fanfare.
The shepherds out in the fields, have you ever been pulled from your ordinary life into something extraordinary? That moment when you're rushing to the hospital and normal life just fades. When you're not sure if it's terrible or terribly good. That urgent commands your attention. Perhaps it is when beauty has stopped you in your tracks. Pulled your head from your desk, put down the dish towel, parked the car, turned your full presence to the eclipse. The rainbow, waited for the thunderstorm to pass on the side of the road.
And when have you followed something mysterious on a promise set off after a star? Some stories describe those wise men traveling for years in order to arrive at Jesus' birth. Patiently working semester after semester on a dissertation, perhaps. Saving up paycheck by paycheck for a down payment on a house, rehearsing hour after hour to perform a piece of music just once. You kept the faith for promise of something yet to come, something which you wanted, but you couldn't be certain that you would ever have. And is it just like the story that when you finally do arrive with the star high above, the moment you've waited for finally happening, you arrive bearing gifts from the journey that you've been on? Have you been that wise one who humbly kneels in the moment of awe, that moment when you have what you've been working so hard to attain, but instead of triumphantly throwing the trophy in the air, you exhale with gratitude for a universe that can produce moments such as these? Those wise men kneeling humbly in awe.
Of course, the story is complete without a villain. Is King Herod here? The one who seeks to find and kill that young baby Jesus when he hears of his birth. He recognizes competition. He, King Herod, who wants to control, to carry out order, who's concerned about a little too much mayhem. Do you know your own King Herod? The part of myself, the part of all of us who is quick to lash out against the unknown, the new, different. The part that shrinks away from youth or foreigners or sick people. How do we wrestle with your King Herod? How can we honor the many demands that this ruler faces without giving in to that costly fear and prejudice, that temptation to hurt and to control?
And of course, you know what's coming next. The star of the show.
The reason for the season.
The King of Angels.
For Christ the Messiah.
The bread of life.
The morning star.
the Alpha and the Omega,
the light of the
the
world,
King of the Jews,
the Lamb of
the
God,
Redeemer,
the Son of David,
the Anointed One,
Emmanuel,
Rabbi.
Prince of Peace.
Oh, some serious expectations for this little newborn baby Jesus. Most parents think of many names, but don't actually name their child all of them. You know, it's a tenet in our tradition, a foundation, really, of our tradition. In the words of a great educator, Sophia Lyon Fawes, that each night a child is born is a holy one. That every child is born one more Redeemer. And so you, lights of the world, you anointed ones, you morning stars, have you also related to that baby Jesus? Tender and vulnerable, and yet with power to do good, almost unbelievable. Those moments will come, I'm sure for most of you they have already, when those around you, when the world will look to you to be a Messiah. We are each of us called by the magic and wonder of our births, by the miraculous gift of this living, to bring peace to the world.
Because the truth is, there are no messiahs other than us. Just ordinary human babies who grow into ordinary adults that together can do extraordinary things. We can bind up the broken-hearted and redeem the suffering of the world. We are the ones we have been waiting for. It is you, also, for whom the angels trumpet, for whom the shepherds leave their fields, for whom the wise men come bearing gifts. It is each of us who brings joy to the world.
May it be so. Amen. Words from the Reverend Victoria Safford. These words followed by a shared moment of silence, a time of quiet to hold in the beloved embrace, the powerful embrace of this community, all that rests on our hearts tonight. May the whole world, from Palestine and Israel to right here in Vancouver, be held by this beloved community. Now is the moment of magic, when the whole round earth turns again toward the sun. And here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter now, even before the winter settles in to chill us. Now is the moment of magic when people, beaten and down and broken with nothing left but misery and candles and their own clear voices, kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music. And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the Kinara, and the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing. Now is the moment of magic when an eastern star beckons the ignorant toward an unknown goal. And here's a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby. Born at midnight, born in poverty, and the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, feel like. Now is the moment of magic, and here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents, ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love.
We know that the magic of Christmas comes again and again because we make it possible. Because we stretch ourselves to love into cold and dark night in uncertain circumstances when the odds are against us. And so we wish you a very, very blessed holiday.